Hello and welcome back to OT, the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time and how to spend it. I'm Eddie Green.
Felix Schultz, reporting for duty.
You're always on duty.
No, I'm not. That's a lie. I'm always on call, I think is probably the better thing because I work from home and live at home and rarely leave the home. If you need urgent watch coverage, like if you got the money or we've got the personal relationship in your case, Andy, if you say, Felix, I need this on this watch now, I can make it happen.
Stat.
Putting that out there is a little bit of marketing.
I could just say stat to you and you'll sort it out.
Yeah, essentially. How's life been? What's going on in the Green Machines world?
I watched The Bullet Train on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, with Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt and a slew of other characters in it.
It's the Platinum Breitling.
Yes, yeah, that's right. They did the big press release through it. There is a little moment for the Breitling on the screen, which I'm sure Georges Kern is very, very pleased with. It's a great cast, a lot of cameos, but a really strong sort of kind of core group. Very tight film. It's basically all set on a train. I think we talked about it when it came out.
We did.
High action, but yeah, really welcome cameos. Got Hiroyuki Sanada, who is in the latest John Wick as well. He's just like an absolute legend who comes through and was a personal favourite for me.
I'm going to look him up because I don't recognise it.
You don't recognise? You'll recognise the face. Michael Shannon plays the...
Michael Shannon, what a guy, what a face.
Oh yeah, terrifying. Joey King, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, even Bad Bunny kind of makes a bit of actually has a pretty solid partner, which is cool. And of course a whole bunch of other really good castmates. But it was just over 2 hours, action-packed, good humour. Brad Pitt's good in it.
Brad Pitt's solid. You know what I watched, speaking of Brad Pitt cameo, watch The Big Short.
Oh yeah, have you seen it before?
Yeah, but I haven't watched it in years. Two things came out of it. One, that was 100% Kendall Roy's audition for Kendall Roy, whatever his name is, the actor's name, I can't remember.
Yep.
Because he plays essentially Kendall Roy. And also Brad Pitt was in that as a sort of a more sort of side role, but he was playing this sort of vaguely conspiracy theorist, sort of ex-trader. And like it was set in 2008, filmed in 2015 or whatever. And he was sort of filmed wearing a mask and like, you know, social distancing and all this sort of stuff.
Well, so you know The Big Short was adapted from a book by Michael Lewis?
No. Do you know it was directed by the guy that did Anchorman?
I did. So, well, let me tell you a fun fact. Michael Lewis, the author, big economist, but he also wrote Moneyball, which Brad Pitt stars in.
Yes. I did know that actually.
There's the Michael Lewis universe, but
different Michael Berry, who Christian Bale plays.
Economist. He basically like bet against the GFC and made a heap of money, but he's done 5 or 6 really, really interesting books, and most of them have slowly become movies. I remember he did one that was about like high frequency trading, where he explained the period when it was really becoming a thing and people were like moving computers closer to beta servers and kind of upgrading their fibers because these like nano fraction of nanoseconds counted as far as sort of making these trades.
So he's kind of like the guy that you go to if you want to make stats sexy.
Yeah. Well, no, like he predicted the GFC. He was one of the guys who predicted it, bet against it. No one sort of believed him. And then after it, you know, he made a heap of money off of it, but he also then gets all these speaking gigs because he was sort of the guy who saw it all coming and no one wanted to listen to.
Well, we didn't have the Big Short on our list of things to talk about, but what do you know? That happened. Could we keep talking about celebrities and pivot it into watches a little bit more?
Well, we did talk about Brad Pitt's Breitling, but yeah, you're talking about the puzzle piece Rolex date without the day or the date? The emoji watch?
Yeah, spotted in a much shared image on Tom Brady's wrist.
And that just comes days after John Mayer picked one up.
Actually, I think that Tom Brady, I think watch people, it was Niccoloy that picked it up.
Yes, he was taking an Instagram break and he said, no, this is too big. I have to come back on and
share
this
him.
news. Dedication. You know, he doesn't stop.
No, he's dedicated. Puzzle piece. I've got a question about this. Andy knows everything about Rolex Green. Do you think that the fact that John Mayer's getting it, the fact that Tom Brady's getting it, and, you know, I assume other people are getting it, is this a deliberate strategy or a deliberate thing that Rolex do to make sure that famous people get it first? Like, would Rolex HQ have said, Tom Brady's expressed an interest in this watch, get it to him or offer it to him? Or is it just, you know,
So I have a few thoughts here. I don't think so. I think you're obviously going to get preferential treatment. You know, I mean, Tom Brady's worth, I don't know, close to $1 billion or something crazy these days. So he was always going to get whatever he wants. But I do think they get it because you know he's not going to flip a watch. Like, you know, there is basically no amount of money you could offer him where he'd be, you know, oh yeah, I'll flip it. That's realistic, right? Double, triple, 5x. Like, it would be such a low incentive for him to ever care enough to sell it. And I think it's the same with John Mayer. I think what they're doing is placing it with people that they know are really, really, really low risk of ever moving it on.
And is the fact that do you think, is it a PR thing to see it out there, or is that just sort of the result of business? Like, how many of these watches, like, what, they make
I would think this is
10 a month getting
I would
out
think
there?
there's 200. They'll make 200 or something. It'll be similar to the Gem Set Daytonas from yesteryear, where it's a couple hundred worldwide. So, you know, you always see them sort of rise to the top. And it's the same with the, you know, the Tiffany Patek Nautilus. They sort of, you just sort of see them out in the wild and they sort of become more prevalent and people keep tabs on it. This is
millionaires.
Yeah, it's just where this stuff gravitates towards too. But I think it's, you know, we want to sell it to people that aren't, you know, going to flip it. Because I think the worst thing, like, it doesn't help the cause having Tom Brady wear the watch, but the only thing worse than that is seeing it go up on Chrono 24 or wherever for, you know, $800,000 or something that just doesn't make any sense. I find it interesting with Tom Brady though, because was he not a Richemont ambassador for quite some time?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he went through a few, didn't he? He was IWC.
Yeah, Tag. Was he Tag?
And he was someone else. Yeah, for a hot minute. Maybe was that the team though, or was that him personally?
I don't know, but whenever I see something like that, it's just kind of like contract's over. I'm back to doing the thing what I actually want to do now that I'm not being paid. And I don't know that that's a good matchup for an ambassador.
Again, this is something we weren't meant to talk about, but I was talking in the car the other day. I was listening to the Barbie soundtrack, and I was speculating that. So when did Tag Heuer pick up bloody Ryan Gosling?
I think it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
2020. I think 2019 or 2020. Yeah,
it's done very well. For obviously, you know, it's a pretty sure thing. Like, he's a, you know, A-list celebrity and he's a, you know, huge star and all bankable and all those sort of things. But his career seems to be accentuating his sort of lighthearted, not too serious, surprisingly youthful energy in some ways that I think is very much in line with what Tag Heuer's all about at the moment.
Yeah, I think that was one of the better ambassador pickups. I would compare it to David Beckham, where he likes other watches, he wears other watches, he's got other stuff that he wears, but he very much is a Tudor ambassador. And I get the feeling with Beckham as well. The contract could end, and he would still probably wear Tudor, unless it was an absolute disaster of an ending, and he hated them. But if it just sort of like ended, I could see him continuing it on. And I don't know. I feel like look, it's transactional for these brands, but I do find it a bit. Now, the second you're not getting paid, you're not going to do it. And hey, that's know your value, make your money. But yeah, I don't know. It's odd. He's just all he's wearing is Rolex now.
Well, I mean, it is what you do. What else is happening? Anything else going on in the world of watches or wider, stuff?
Watch TikTok. The watch TikTok has infiltrated both of our feeds. Obviously, we couldn't avoid it for too long after letting John Buckley in there, which, I'm not mad about. But Mr. Enthusiast, he's popping up all over my feed on TikTok as sort of like a guest star cameo.
Bloody Mike Naveau.
Yeah, we should reach out to Mike Naveau.
Maybe we should reach out to Mr. Enthusiast to see if he can help us reach out to Mike Naveau.
Well, I think Mike Naveau works with the Craft and Tailored guys, Canberra. So I think we can. I don't think it'd be that hard. But Mr. Enthusiast popping up, he was doing like a chat with Mike, and then this guy walks past, young guy, wearing one of those Louis Vuitton. What's the circular watch? Mr. Enthusiast loves it.
Was it a Tambour?
It's one of the really old ones, like the first watch Louis Vuitton ever made.
Oh, yeah. The one with the crown at the top.
Yeah. And Mr. Enthusiast is like, oh my God, like, what are the odds? But I've just, where did you find that? And the guy's just like, I bought it at auction 6 months ago for like, and he was trying to buy it off
I didn't watch that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just like an absolute coincidence. And now, I'm sure he probably saw Mr. Enthusiast page and, but came across it and was like, oh, this is kind of cool. That or Mr. Rolex, one of the Misters. And thought, oh, this is a cool watch to pick up. Now you can't get them. Now they're like $3-4 grand. So he's cornered that section of the market.
Also saw Zoe Adelson doing some stuff with Buckley. A little bit of
a negotiation showdown.
I've also been seeing more and more unfolding about the timepiece gentleman. Have we spoken about that?
We haven't. We haven't.
Should we?
Well, it's sort of like been a week since it all blew up, and it keeps changing every day. So I don't know. Maybe we'll give it another week and see where everything's at.
Yeah, let's talk about it next week. But, Ponzi schemes.
I find it like
it's 2023, the year of the scam.
Scams in watches, huh? Yeah, everyone's seen the opportunities there. Not that we're saying any scamming behaviour has taken place, Felix. Of course not. Felix, we haven't even introduced what we're doing today. You were going through your drawers, rifling through you grabbed your carry-on suitcase.
Digital archives.
And you found like some old secret, some lost Geneva tapes.
Look, honestly, this is very appropriate. So today we're speaking to Julien Tornare, currently the CEO of Zenith, a brand famous for finding things in the attic.
It's so true.
It's sort of appropriate that we found the lost recording of him and thought we should get it out. Also, there's another reason why we're doing it this week, not just because, we need to, push the content out on a regular basis, but also there are rumours, maybe well-founded, maybe not, who can know, that Mr. Tornare is no longer going to be the CEO of Zenith for a long time into the future.
Oh, okay.
Move.
I hope you haven't broken any embargoes here, Felix.
Look, I'm just reporting on speculation I've seen publicly available elsewhere. I'm not saying
Reddit.
where. I'm not saying I've heard this for a fact. It's just scuttlebutt, Andy.
Okay. Circling around the traps.
But I'm pretty confident. I think it's a good idea to get, an interview with the CEO of a brand out before
the content's all irrelevant because they're somewhere else.
Yeah. Then it would have moved from the archive to the bin. But, no, I had a lovely chat with Mr. Tornare. Always one of the I've spoken to him a few times.
Yeah.
And refreshingly upfront. Like, I don't know if it comes across in this because, day 4 of a watch fair. It's like one of my last appointments, actually. Like, it was sort of snuck in right at the end. Everyone was tired, but really just upfront, tells you how it is, isn't afraid to, go against the party line in a way, which, I don't know, really, really great.
He is a surprising one to kind of hear you chat to. I think this will be the second or third time we've had him on in our existence, and it always is interesting, and you do sort of learn something, and he is quite candid. So, yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we get Julien Tornare on right now?
Mr. Julien Tornare, it is a wonderful pleasure for you to, have me as a guest at Zenith at Watches and Wonders. Welcome to Watches and Wonders.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
It's great. Last time I saw you in person, was Basel World 2018, the last Basel World.
Wow, a while ago.
Yeah. And you were quite new to the role.
Yeah, a year, because I started in 2017.
Yeah, and it was one of my favorite interviews because you were very, very frank, and you said, I'll paraphrase, that Zenith had a big problem in that it was a brand that was more famous for the movement than for the name on the dial.
True.
Is this still the case?
No, it's finished. We did the job that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first questions I got from Jean-Claude Biver when I joined. He said, Jesus, this El Primero is so strong. I feel it's cannibalizing a bit the brand. And I said, Mr. Biver, in my opinion, it's such an asset that many brands would love to have, such a legendary movement. It's not because the branding is too weak that we should weaken the El Primero. So what we've done is we capitalize on this incredible movement, the El Primero, and we've been building the brand. So now we finally, and that's why we've had great success for the last 3 years, we really built the brand. When you visit the booth, you see a totally different atmosphere than the one you had in 2018.
And that feeds into it. Obviously, it's not just building the brand, but people think, rightly so. Like, there's a lot of talk about, Zenith's super cool. You're doing exciting things. You're I've spoken to a few colleagues this week, and they talk about how your, their perception within the LVMH group is that you're pushing ahead. You're sort of really doing things that others haven't done, and there's a real excitement around that. How have you done that?
Oh, it's 6 years. It's not me, it's the whole team. We've done a great job, and I would say I'm proud of that. I'm pretty proud of our team. We started in 2017, and I realized that to reinforce the branding, we had to work first on the fundamentals, what I would call the fundamentals. It goes from the website that was not even responsive. We had zero activity in social media. Watchers were very much turned to the past, giving tribute to the past, but not looking forward into the future. Plus. So we took literally one subject after the other. And within 3 years, end of 2019, we started to feel that things were turning right, and that the brand was becoming stronger and stronger. Early 2020, we do record sales at the Dubai Watch Week, LVMH Watch Week, in Dubai. And then, of course, we got caught up by COVID. So when you are a super strong brand, COVID is tough. But when you are a recovery brand, it's a disaster. And we were like, okay, how are we going to survive that? And actually, again, my team has been hyperactive during COVID, whether on the marketing side. We recognized as having been one of the most active brands during the lockdown. We continued to work hard on the product. We kicked off e-commerce in 6 weeks when it was planned to be done in a year and a half. So they've done a tremendous job. And that's how, on the spot, we didn't realize, but when we came out of the COVID situation in 2021, launched the Chronomaster, we straight jump into a new league. And that's been 2021 and 2022 are 2 consecutive all-time record year for the brand.
That's great.
And Chronomaster got repositioned at that time. We had been working already with Defy, and now today here, it's the year of pilot.
Yeah, I'll talk about the pilots in a second, but I want to stay on the marketing because something that you're really, really good at, and you're not the only ones doing it. A lot of people are doing really smart collaborations, and you've done. I'm sure I've done lots that I haven't even been aware of, but you've done media partners, you've got a relationship with Philips.
True.
From your point of view, from like a corporate and a brand point of view, what is the best thing about this sort of collaboration? And is there a risk of pushing too far on them, like saturating the market?
Yeah, it could be. You have to be careful. You have to keep it balanced. Some of these collaborations, I would say, have different objectives. And I'll give you a couple of examples to illustrate my words. If you think about the Kari, Voutilainen, Philips, it was a great way to give tribute to the caliber 1350, which was an incredible, legendary other caliber next to the El Primero. And we founded that to decorate this watch, to animate this watch, no one better than Kari Voutilainen could do it in such a great way. And showcasing it through Philips, and in particular Oral Bags, was also the best way. So here we worked on the brand equity. We worked on showing an incredible aspect of Zenith history. If we talk about Extreme E collaboration, this SUV racing, the correspondent of the Formula E, but off-road, that's been a great way to continue to capitalize on the car-watch partnership it's been done for 25 years by all the brands, but with a different angle, promoting e-driving. And gender equality, because it's both men and women that are composing the teams. So that's another one. And then you take an ambassador in a country. Okay, an ambassador should never be taken, in my opinion, only for what I would call the red carpet effect. It should be an awareness accelerator. But then in the back, the brand has to do a good job, because people get to know you, but then you need to turn awareness into business. And that's. So it has to have a strong content.
This is another question I find fascinating, and I'm going to take because please. I've got you here. Like I'm genuinely interested. What do you look for in an ambassador? Like
simple.
Okay.
We don't again look only on the famous aspect of the personality. We look at the journey. Because we all about time to reach your star. This is the brand motto, and this is what our founder has been following as a philosophy of brand since day one. So when I say time to reach your star, I'm much more interested in the journey. And I ask people that I meet to become friend of the brand ambassador. I say, can you tell me your story?
Yeah, okay.
And I figure out if he or she made me dream or not. And that's why we said no to a few, and we agree immediately on some of them, like Carl Cox, when Carl Cox explained to me how he became the legendary DJ, or other ones. I'm interested into the process of they had a dream, they had something they wanted to reach, and how they worked very hard and how they've been so resilient to reach their star. And that's exactly it. If they can do that in 15 minutes, like a TED Talk kind of, I usually go for it. Yeah.
You sold. Pilots. This is all about Pilots watches. You've got a long, history with Pilots watches. When I saw the press release come through, I was a little bit surprised at the change in direction. Like, you're so strong with Defy and Chronomaster, and this is quick. New lines. Why something new, and why not consolidate on what you already have?
We have 4 product line, and we have been repositioning the brand in a much more contemporary brand since day one when I joined, thanks to Defy first.
Yeah.
When Defy started to be very successful, it gave me time to redesign and rethink about the Chronomaster that was supposed to be launched in 2020. Due to COVID, we postponed it to January 2021 with the success we all know. 2 strong legs. But I would never forget Pilot, because Zenith has such a legitimacy. It's not the most well-known brand for Pilot watches, but it's probably the brand that has the strongest legitimacy. I'll tell you why. In 1888, only 23 years after the company was founded, Georges Favre-Jacot, our founder, protected the word pilot in French. Okay, decades before the first plane even took off. A long time before the famous Pilot watches came to market. He knew that at some point, watchmaking would serve the flying industry. And in 1904, he did the same with the word in English, pilot. And since then, we are the only brand allowed to use the pilot word on a dial.
Yeah, right.
Plus, of course, all the great creations that you can see on the booth all year long.
Sure.
It was time to come. And the last collection we had was very much vintage, turned to vintage. Now I wanted to move the same way we did with Defy and Chronomaster, is to make watches of the 21st century.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's why.
And you're right. I mean, there are other brands in the market that are built, largely on the Pilot sort of reputation. How do you go about promoting your own alternative, like competing with them?
It's a totally different approach in a way, for 2 reasons. The first one is more about the product. The second one is more about the communication and how we're going to talk about this watch. In terms of products, it's a very high-end, sophisticated, 100% as the whole Zenith collection has a Zenith movement. Okay, so it's an El Primero, 3 hands. It's an El Primero big date, instantaneous big date with a patent on it, plus the flyback. So we talk about a quite high-level product, and that makes the difference immediately, and that's the comments we got from the retailers. And from a communication perspective, if we think about Georges Favre-Jacot had passion for the sky, for flying. That's why he named the company Zenith. That's why the logo is a star. He was constantly inspired by the sky.
Yeah.
And that's why he started also to be present in the Pilot collection. But it's about emotion. It's about discovering the world. It's about adventure, like Blériot did when he crossed the channel.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different story. We're never going to talk about fighting jets. I think war today, we don't want to hear about war. There is enough in the world.
Sure.
We're not also into commercial jets and instruments with special things. That's not the business. For us, it's more about, again, the emotion, the passion, the journey.
Yeah.
We found a great visual where a kid is throwing a paper plane to his father. That's dating the 60s. So that's how we came with these paper planes all over the booth and in the campaign, because we think that's a much more, in a way, romantic, in a way, emotional campaign, where you have the transmission between the son and the father. We all have memories of throwing a paper plane to sometimes teachers or friends, and I think it's bringing us a very different level. So totally different feel.
You just reminded me of something. This is nothing to do with you, but maybe it could be. The plane, the aviator Blériot.
Yeah.
There's one of the type of planes that he flew in the UK that is still certified for flight.
Right.
which
Okay.
is crazy. It's
Could
like
be good.
a 100-year-old plane.
It
Maybe you
would
can
be
get
good.
in it.
I should use it for my business trip.
You could recreate it.
I could. Where is it?
Somewhere in the UK.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me know. I'd be interested. Yeah.
It's on Wikipedia. Hey, thank you very much for your time. I know you've got
My
other
pleasure.
things to do. One last question.
Yes, please.
A recommendation of something to do that has nothing to do with work. I know it's a hard question for you now.
That's a good one.
Something to enjoy.
Yeah. In life.
Yeah.
Ooh la la la! You take me at the end of the booth. At the end of the salon, we're all very tired. I would probably say
Maybe sleep.
sleep would be great. Yes. No, I would probably say go back to some sport activity because after a salon like that, that's maybe what I've been missing the most. And
Not walking up and down isn't enough.
I need to, the best way to relax and drop the pressure. Yes, you need to sleep, you need to eat healthy, but do some sport helps me a lot. So that's what I'm gonna do right after the salon to get rid of all the pressure and the dinners and drinks and stuff like that.
Go for a run, go for a ride.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes,
awesome.
you're totally right.
Thank you very much.
My
Lovely
old
to speak to
pleasure.
you.
Thank you. Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Julien Tornare, I wish him well in all his future career endeavours,
Wink,
wherever
wink.
that might be.
Yes. He might be head of community for the OT, the podcast Discord. He might not be, not going to say, but if you're not in our Discord, you should join. Whilst you've got your phone in your hand, give us a 5-star review, hit that share button, follow us on Instagram, follow us on social media. Felix, if people want to reach us, what can they do?
Send positive vibes out into the world or email us at otthepodcast@gmail.com. Or Instagram, ot.podcast is where we're sort of fairly frequently on there.
All DMs are confidential, so if you do want to spill some tea, give us some industry leaks, any sort of goss, we are here to receive it. We'll see you next week.
I think, we'll talk about the timepiece, gentlemen. We'll get our facts in order.
Maybe we'll find someone close to the service. No, I don't know. All right. Farewell.